Okay, hi, I'm Valerie Woebkenberg, and I was a first grade teacher at Monroe for many years. And when I retired 6 years ago, I decided to become a substitute teacher, and now I'm in a new role as author of a children's book. A few years ago, my sister found a short story written by my great-grandmother, and my sisters and I adapted the story into the story The Little Christmas Tree Told, a children's book for Christmas. And we put the words of my great-grandmother together with the memories of my father's Christmas spent with his grandmother in Indiana together to make this book. Elizabeth Guilford did the oil paintings that then became the illustrations. And now it's my pleasure to be here at Monroe sharing the story with the students at Monroe. Today I've come to talk to you in a different job, not as the Dibbles person and not as a substitute teacher, but I've come to talk to you about being a children's book author. And I know since you're in the second grade, everyone knows what the author does. What does the author of the book do?
It writes the words.
That's right, the author writes the words. And then I did not do the illustrations for this book. You can see I brought some of the illustrations with me today. The illustrations for this book started off as paintings. Well, what does the illustrator do? What does the illustrator do?
Writes the pictures like those.
That's right, the illustrator draws the pictures, and I'll show you a picture of the illustrator in just a little bit. What I want to tell you before I read, I want to tell you how this story started out. The story in this book, the Christmas story, the family is celebrating Christmas almost 100 years ago. And it is a story about a Christmas when my dad was a little boy. This is a picture of my father and his sister. His name is Otis, and his sister is named Louise. And in this picture there, you could tell they're not celebrating Christmas. They have their Halloween costumes on. But can you tell that that's a picture from a long time ago?
Yeah.
Right, you can tell that because I don't think anybody in here probably had a costume like that, did they?
Yeah.
He's holding a pumpkin and she's got some kind of a little broom in her hand. So this is a picture from a long time ago. I think he was about 4 or 5 in the picture, and she might have been a little bit older. So maybe she was about second grade age and he was a little bit younger. And this is from about the time when the story took place. Well, what happened was that my dad did not live in the same place that his grandmother lived. Maybe you live close to your grandparents, and so you can see them and talk to them about what's going on at school or what you're doing at your house. Or maybe you got together with them if they don't live close on Thanksgiving, or you can call them on the phone. But when this story happened a long time ago, they didn't call on the phone from where they lived in Indiana to where my dad lived in Cincinnati. And so she couldn't call them up and say, well, what did you learn in school today? Or were you writing any stories in first grade? Or what did you have for lunch today? She couldn't talk to them about those things. So what she did is that she wrote them stories. And we found a little story that she wrote. This is how it looked. This is not this story, but this is how it looked. She was writing like letters to them, and the letters were stories. This one is about a little bird. I'll read you a little bit of it after I read the story. But it was about 2 pages, but not long enough to be a book. So, does Mrs. Hawkins say when you write in your journals or you write stories, does she say that you have to add some details? Does she talk about having a good beginning, middle, and end?
Yeah.
Well, that's what we had to do. So we thought about the things that my dad told us from that old picture when he was a little boy, and Christmases that he spent with his grandparents. He would go to his grandparents for Christmas, probably like some of you do. And we put the things that he told us together with some of the words that my great-grandmother wrote, and it became this book. And the thing that makes it special is that this is the story The Little Christmas Tree Told. I'm going to read it to you now. And I like to say that I need my glasses because it makes it all the better to see. Ever since I was a seedling, only a few inches high, I have known that my mission in the world was to give happiness. Growing slowly, year by year, drinking in the rain and sunshine, I was content. Do you know what content is? Content, do you know what content is?
It's like something's still growing and growing and growing.
It was still growing, it was still growing. When he feels content, he's feeling good about living out there. Everything's nice out there where he's living. I never murmured when the storms of winter beat upon me, but enjoyed the snowy white blanket they left behind. Beneath the sparkling night sky, I marveled at the sounds of the woods that let me know I was not alone. I stood tall, trying with all my power to be sweet and lovely of character, which will always make one beautiful. And so I grew shapely, and my boughs were always green, summer and winter. Woodland creatures sought refuge in my fragrant boughs, sheltered from the perils brought by weather. Through the years, some even chose my branches and the soft, pine-needled ground beneath me to raise their young. Do you have those woodland creatures in your backyard? I bet you do. I have those in my backyard. And you could tell it was a snowy winter when this story took place, just like we had a couple of weeks ago. One day, a rosy-cheeked old man appeared in the clearing where I stood. His smiling eyes rested on me. A little girl and boy are coming from the big city to visit their grandma and grandpa for Christmas. They have written a letter to Santa asking for a tree. Would you like to go with me and be that special tree? Oh, sorry to be carried away. There's a star on the top of the Christmas tree. Good. Can somebody come up? Can you find the outside star up here?
Ow! A star.
There it is right there on that Christmas tree. And there's the star up in the sky right there. You found the outside star. Good. And you found an inside star. Okay, let's try another one. There's the cat we talked about. You thought it was an angel? Well, I guess they could be beaming, couldn't they? They could be beaming from the sky, too. What tells the hour, it's a clue word, with the cheerful chime? If you can find it, you'll know the time. Who hasn't had a turn to look in the book? You haven't had a turn to look at the pages in the book? Okay, can you hand your book up to her? Over to her? Oh, and can you hand your book over to him? He hasn't had a turn. What tells the hour? Do you know what tells the hour with the cheerful chime? The clock. Here's the clock. Well, I know you did. Your great mind was thinking today. The clock. Good. If you were thinking the clock, I'm glad you're thinking along. There's another clock right there. Right there. I see it up there. We have to know the time, don't we? There's the clock. This clock shows 12:16. It means it was after midnight. There it is over there. And there you found it right on the fireplace. Okay, let's try, how about one more? It's shaped like a ball and as shiny as can be. Every year it hangs on the Christmas tree. Shaped like a ball. What do you think it could be?
The sun.
It could be the sun, if you had a sun ornament. What else could it be? Hangs on the Christmas tree. What are those called?
Ornament.
An ornament. Good. This is a red ornament.